He's Greg Cosell, the NFL Films, and I'll tell you what, you caught my attention with this headline. Matt Barkley is a fourth-round talent. How did you come to that conclusion, Greg?
Well, Dan, in the NFL, and this might sound very simple, but you've got to be able to make throws. And that may seem obvious, but everything is manifested in a physical way. You can be a hard worker in the classroom. You can be great in the huddle. You can do all those wonderful things. But at the end of the day, you've got to make throws in the NFL, often in difficult situations against very challenging defenses. And when I studied him, and I studied him a lot, ultimately what I see is a quarterback that has an average arm strength at best, and he's not particularly athletic in and around the pocket. So I looked at Matt Barkley and I said, what will make him a high-level NFL quarterback? Because that's what you expect if you take him in the first round, is it not?
Yeah. So
I struggle to answer that question. Now, again, I'm not saying he's a bust and will never play, but being talked about as a first-round quarterback, I think there's too many throwing limitations for me.
But I don't understand this, Greg. If he had come out his junior year, after his junior year, consensus was he was going to be a top 10, maybe a top 5 pick. How do we miss from one year to the next?
Well, here's how I would answer that, Dan. Consensus by whom? And it's not a knock on anybody. That was essentially media talk. Okay. We don't know, because he didn't come out, how NFL teams had evaluated him. So I don't know if that's necessarily true. And by the way, he may still be a first-round pick. Where one gets picked and what one becomes in the NFL are often two different things, as we all know. So maybe he would have been a top 5 or top 10 pick last year, but that was media talk coming off a fine season at USC.
Help me wade through the abyss that is what is being said about Geno Smith. The Chiefs now fascinated by him. The Raiders interested, and Buffalo interested. How high are you on Geno Smith from West Virginia?
Geno Smith, like almost all the quarterbacks in this class, to me, has positives, but then a number of things I believe need to be cleaned up. I think he throws a beautiful ball, but I think he's lacking in two areas which, if they're not cleaned up, I think he would struggle. Number one is his accuracy is a bit scattershot. He missed too many routine throws. You can't do that in the NFL. And the term I've been using, which has gotten a lot of play, is slow eyes. I don't think he throws with great anticipation. Throws that are clearly defined, that are there, he's a beat late. And in the NFL, if you're a beat late, you can't play very well.
Do you think slow eyes is going to catch on, Greg?
Oh, I don't know.
As far as the term,
can you help me with that, Dan?
Well, here's a problem. The vertical passing game, not many guys have horizontal passing games, but we seem to have these new definitions here. Oh, he can really spin it, or he can take the defense off the top of. I mean, I don't know if we're going to have lazy eyes here that we're going to be describing quarterbacks. But if we do, then I'm going to give you credit on that.
I appreciate that, although I must admit it was not my term. But like we all do, I'm now taking it as my own.
Manti Te'o, if you're looking at game film, because I don't care about the combine. I don't care about his pro day. If I look at Pittsburgh and Alabama and I put those together, is he a first-round talent?
Not in my opinion, and I've looked at all those games and many more. And again, I think what Manti Te'o is an inside stacked linebacker who's going to play in your base defense. He's not going to play when you go nickel or dime. He's going to play in your base defense. And I made a comment the other day, and I'll say it to you. And it's not a knock on him. It's just my evaluation. I think there's a lot of guys like Manti Te'o. And he could play for 10 years in the NFL and have a really nice career. But I don't think he's and again, now to use one of those terms, I don't think he's an impact linebacker.
He's Greg Cosell.
You like that?
Yeah. I've heard that one before. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Does he have slow eyes, though?
You know what? I don't know.
Greg Cosell.
That I don't know. I don't really study eyes. Although, yes, you do for a linebacker, because I tell you who had really quick eyes for a linebacker was Luke Kuechly last year.
Yeah, we saw where he went high.
He went ninth, I believe.
Yeah, Greg Cosell of NFL Films joining us, Dan Patrick Show. If you're trying to assess this, and I know you don't make it personal, and you probably have scouts or agents who respond to you, it feels like you're making it personal. You're just doing your job here. I mean, you're just assessing if you were a GM, what do you think of this guy? Where would you take him?
Right.
What kind of have you gotten feedback before from players who?
Oh, sure.
Oh, really?
Oh, sure. No. I know a lot of agents. They talk to me. I know, obviously, a lot of people in the league as well. So I do have these conversations. But speaking of eyes, what I try to do is trust my eyes. And no one's right all the time. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm right all the time. That'd be ridiculous. But during the season, because I do the NFL matchup show, all I'm doing, and I've done this for years, is watch NFL coaching tape. So when I watch college players, all I'm thinking about is how do they transition to the NFL? Because they're still two different games, even though some of the concepts are being more integrated. They're still two different games. You're not a great pro just because you played in the SEC.
Before I let you go, Marcus Lattimore worked out for NFL teams with his injured knee. How do you assess how he could make the transition into the NFL?
Well, you're talking about a guy that I absolutely loved before the injuries. To me, an uninjured, and I know that's not the case, but just his skill set as a runner before the injuries, when I saw him as a freshman, I immediately said, this guy is a starting foundation NFL back.
Wow.
And I have no idea if he'll ever get back to that point or not, but the mere fact that he could do anything, I guess yesterday or the day before, is absolutely remarkable to me and says a lot about the kid.
Great to visit with you. Hope to talk to you leading up to the draft, Greg.
Dan, I appreciate it. Anytime. Thank you.
All right. Greg Cosell, NFL Films, the nephew of Howard Cosell, by the way.